Welcome to our front yard garden here in the South Carolina upstate. We had some special guest geese there right at the outset. We are in Greer, South Carolina, and today is October 25th, 2024. It's a beautiful Friday, as you can see. Not a cloud in the sky. It's kind of been that way for a while now. Ever since the hurricane about 4 weeks ago, we really have not had clouds or rain or much of anything. So we're just trying to enjoy it, and we're going to get another video in here. We just did our backyard video, and we should have enough time and enough light to get this one in before the twilight approaches, or twilight arrives. So as we always start off in the mailbox bed, we have some Giacomini clematis blooming, not in the large numbers that we get in the spring, but enough to make it colorful. Now that the morning glories are finished for the year, it's kind of a nice little wash of color for the mailbox. We have some vinca through here, which are, I would say that they're not certainly done, but they are well on the way to being done. They are all from seed, and still giving us some color, so they're worth looking at. Same thing with the zinnias here. We talked about this last week. A lot of these got blown down in the hurricane. That's why they're lying on the ground, and they really kind of peaked. I don't think we're going to get a whole lot of new blooms at this point, but the ones that are out typically will last for a few days, if not a week or more, if you're lucky. And we've got all these different colors: the reds, the pinks, purple, yellow, orange, and so they've been giving us a lot of color here for really about 6 months now, and they are a real high point of our front yard garden, and our backyard for that matter. This bed is mostly vinca, at least this time of year it is, and again, the number of flowers that we're seeing is not tremendous, but the days are getting shorter, and we have had some cool nights, and that tends to slow the growth down a bit. We also have our petite knockout rose down in here, still kind of hanging in there. It had trouble early on in the summer because of the heat and some black spot, but it has come back, and it's giving us some nice flowers. And then over here, kind of the same thing, a nice mix of vinca, zinnias, and a few dianthus that are still blooming. They're not in large numbers, but they have been consistently blooming now since the spring, really, about April. At least sometimes in small numbers, but at least giving us some color. Now this is a huge dahlia. Trying to swing it around here so we can see it a little bit better. It's a really beautiful flower. Unfortunately, they're so big, and the stalks that hold them up are not so big, and they tend to just flop over and not be all that visible. But we've got another huge one here. These are typically called dinner plate dahlias, and they've been blooming here over the last 6 weeks or so. But again, they're a little too big for their britches. The plant itself can't hold up the weight of the flower, but they're still pretty, worth looking at. Just about everything else in this area is done. We had some black-eyed Susans last week, but they're just about finished. You can see just a little bit of yellow left, but not much. And again, a few zinnias, lots of Halloween decorations, and then over in here, our hydrangeas, which really finished up quite a while ago, a few months ago. They retained some of their color, so even though you see that red, these have long since stopped blooming. Up here, behind our other Halloween decorations, we've got our citrus grove. These are all lemons, and they're blooming nicely, very, very fragrant. And some of them have turned into little tiny lemons. Unfortunately, our experience with this has not been all that positive. They have to get fertilized or pollinated and if they don't, they won't. They'll just fall off. So we'll see what happens. They're hanging on, but I'm not overly optimistic. We've had these things for 3 or 4 years. This is a lemon. This is an orange. The orange has never flowered. The big lemon has, and the smaller lemons have, but we really have not gotten any fruit out of any of that so far. But maybe this is the year, or maybe next year will be the year. We'll find out. Up in here, the only thing that's really worth looking at, because largely this bed is finished, we do have some azaleas that are giving us some color. This one peaked a couple of weeks ago. This one peaked probably a week ago, but it's still covered with red, which is really nice. And then we have a couple of these ones that have the big pink flowers on them, very similar to what we have in the backyard, if you saw the video there earlier. Another red one doing pretty well. And then we have just one that has these light pink flowers. And actually it has kind of a combination, because you see right next to each other, the dark pink and the light pink. I'm not an azalea expert, but I think that's kind of cool. And this is blooming almost as much as what we saw in the spring. Not quite as much, but close to it. And there are quite a few more buds. So yeah, assuming we don't get a frost, we should get a lot more flowers before all is said and done. I've had a lot of questions on how much damage we got from the hurricane. This is our pile of branches and so on for the whole yard. There's not really a whole lot. We were very, very fortunate. God spared our house and our lot and our family, and we're very grateful for that. Some of the neighbors have had a little bit more, but really only a few trees down in our neighborhood. Some neighborhoods were hit really hard, but it's the nature of the weather. It's very hit and miss. We have exactly one flower left on our big series of knockouts there. Those will give us all kinds of color come spring, but this time of year they're pretty much finished up. We'll come up to this bed and show off what's left. Again, kind of the same as before. Vinca, primarily zinnias. We do have a nice dahlia back in here, just a single one, and I think that is it. We have another dahlia over here, but it is not blooming at the moment. And a nice bright yellow zinnia here. More vinca, more zinnias over this way. Kind of a combination of red, orange, yellow, and even a couple of pink ones. They're all doing very well. Some orange over here. And then our 3 big knockout roses, pink, red, and coral. They're largely done. They're giving us a few flowers here and there, like these. But springtime is really their time to shine. This particular one was covered with a small type of morning glory, which was blooming about 6 weeks ago. Now all that's left are seed pods. I was always under the impression that morning glories would keep blooming until the frost hit, but that is not the case. They have a very specific time in September that they bloom, and that's really about it. So nothing really going on this side, albeit I do see one single dianthus right there. We've had some other things. There was a nice blue flower. It appears to be done now. That I showed that off several times. It was kind of a viney wildflower, but it's finished up, and I guess that's about it. So another week come and gone, and these videos are typically getting a little shorter as time goes by, as the days get shorter and the flowers drop in number. But as long as there are flowers, we're going to keep doing these videos, and hopefully you can watch and enjoy them, and make any comments if you have any. We've had a few helpful comments on people giving us names for flowers that I wasn't able to identify recently, and I appreciate that for all of you who are watching, wherever you may be. And until next time, Hope it's sunny wherever you are, and happy gardening.